The M. Jewel Hall of Famers, come to the stage. You know who you are. Jay Burns, Patrick Bitter Jr., MD, Chris Robb, Sharif Ibrahim. Let's go. Let's go. What happened to the music, DJ? Come on. The DJ take a nap? All right, everyone, here we go. We got Sharif, we got Jay. We need to find the last two, but we'll get this. Oh, there's Patrick. There's Patrick. All right, cool. Here's the click. Oh, clicker. And you know what, gang? You get rocking and we'll find CR. There's no need to wait. There's no need to wait. So we have a power-packed group here. They're going to break it down. Let's have some fun, and then get ready for the finale. We got good stuff ahead for everyone. Thank you, team.
Where's the other mic?
Round of applause, everybody. Microphone, please. Okay. Oh, gosh, I went ahead. He's perfect. Have a mic, have a little mic. Hello. You're up, going up there, you're up there. Do you need a mic? Oh my gosh. Come on, I thought we had a deal. You leave my mic on all day, I turn it on and off, guys. What's going on over there? Jeez Louise. Can we get a round of applause, a standing round of applause for Chris Robb? Bad. Can we get a microphone for Chris Robb too, somebody? There's one. Is there one up here? Is there one up here? There is one up here? Am I listening correctly? Okay, cool. All right, thanks, guys. Thank you. I cracked myself up, LOL.
Running ahead of schedule so that everyone can get to the food and drinks early. So I'd like to welcome everybody to what is traditionally one of the most, I think, enjoyable sessions that we've had at these types of meetings. So I'm Sharif Ibrahim. I'm a dermatologist in upstate New York. I'm joined by Dr. Patrick Bitter, also a dermatologist in Northern California, the godfather of light, needs no introduction. We have Dr. Jay Burns, who's a plastic surgeon locally here, and then we have Dr. Chris Robb, so another dermatologist, so we're outnumbering the plastic surgeons 3-1 here. We won't gang up on Dr. Burns. So
I see it as a fair fight, 3-on-1.
Our clicker is not working here, but so the purpose of today's session here is to introduce you all to the M Jewel, or the Milli Jewel, which is the newest platform that Cyton has recently released. On the M Jewel, this is a smaller platform than the Jewel X that is very portable, like I referred to in my talk earlier. And although that doesn't sound like a big deal, it really has impacted the way that we use the device, and for us bringing on a second BBL. On the M Jewel is the BBL Hero on one side, as well as the Moxie, which is a 1927 nanometer resurfacing device, fractionated resurfacing device that sits elegantly on the left side. So just want to sort of poll the audience. How many people are Jewel owners? Maybe about half. And how many are Milli Jewel owners? Okay, a very small percentage. So hopefully that'll change by the end of the weekend, because it really has revolutionized our approach to treating laser patients. So I'm assuming, how many people are BBL owners? Okay, so maybe a little more than half. I don't really need to go into too much detail about how BBL is really unlike any other IPL on the device.
Ask him how many BBL Hero.
And how many BBL Heroes? Okay, so some of us have BBL Hero on the Jewel, so maybe you upgraded your Jewel and didn't necessarily get it as part of the M Jewel. So I'm not going to go into too much background about why BBL is so unique. It's absolutely, hands down, the best IPL that's on the market. Guess what? It just got better with the BBL Hero. And Hero stands for High Energy Rapid Output. The BBL Hero was initially designed to go faster, which allowed for treatments off of the face at lower energy to really cut down on things like striping and other untoward systems. So what was originally designed to treat areas, large areas like the back, the arms, the chest that were traditionally time-consuming and less safe with traditional stamping methods, for the reasons that you see on the right hand there, the solutions, we can treat large areas quickly with lower energies and increased pulse width control, doing multiple passes at 4 times the speed, 3 times the peak power, and 2 times the cooling. What we saw was something unpredictable when we started seeing results with BBL Hero. Dr. Bitter, you're sort of the world's leading expert on the BBL. Can you talk about what are some of the different parameters with BBL Hero and why it's different than traditional BBL?
I'll go into greater detail tomorrow in my presentation on the innovations that Saitan designed in BBL Hero that set it apart from BBL, and how the combination of these 3 features on the design, 4 times faster, peak powers increased 3 times by shortening the pulse duration on BBL Hero over traditional BBL, and then to allow us to be able to treat skin much faster, large areas in particular, with BBL Hero. The cooling is advanced, and it's twice as powerful as the original traditional BBL cooling. But when you combine the 3 technology innovations that Saitan designed into BBL Hero in combination with the protocols and the techniques that we can do with BBL Hero that you can't do with traditional stamping BBL or with any other IPL, it gives us results that we weren't able to get the same degree of more youthful, younger, healthier looking skin. That'll go into greater detail tomorrow. Those kind of results that we couldn't get with traditional stamping techniques. So really, in a nutshell, BBL Hero and the way that we use BBL Hero has brought us to a place that 25 years ago, when I first started working with IPL, we only dreamt about.
Thank you. And one thing that was confusing for me when BBL Hero first came out, it does not replace your standard BBL. It is an additional mode that you can use your BBL device in. So when you get a BBL Hero, it can do everything that the traditional BBL can do, and then you can run it in Hero mode based upon these other features that it can do. So you can use it in combination with your favorite standard BBL treatment protocols. And of course, these are the types of things that we want to avoid. These are the horror stories that we see. But even as we heard in one of the earlier talks today, even treating off the face at lower energy settings, you can still get some degree of striping off of the face, and that we've really improved upon that. So this is a wonderful video from Dr. Posner treating a chest with BBL Hero. Maybe we can hit that video, please. Someone can hit play. What we see is it's an in-motion delivery. So you're actually taking the handpiece and gliding it using the ultrasound gel over the surface of the skin. Do we have the video or no video? 1 second. You'll just have to take my word for it that it's really great. So it's an in-motion technique. So you're not pulsing, lifting up the device and moving it over and trying to line it up perfectly. You're using a sweeping movement and maybe changing the angle of your sweeping from left to right, up and down, diagonal, so that you're getting many, many passes over the treated area and not getting any missed areas.
So do you mind? So the idea here is pulse stacking, right? And so if you're going to pulse stack on pigment, you just activate the melanosome or whatever the target is, right? You and I both know. And then, or vascular, and then that's for the Hero. And then traditional BBL, you cannot do that. You're not doing acne, you're not doing hair, you're not doing skin tight, for example. You're not doing, like photo rejuvenation, the way Patrick does. And so there's different places for these devices, and Hero steps in at pigment. Like it steps in at pigment,
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, in our hands is really fantastic for pigment, but also for smoothing. And I think we're going to talk about that in the next couple of slides when we look at some amazing before and after. So you can see here an entire chest in about 90 seconds of treatment. And that's probably about 300 pulses. So vastly different. So look at this before and after from Dr. Campo, who's in Spain. So after 2 treatments of BBL Hero, Dr. Bitter, can you comment on what you see here in the results and how this might be different than a traditional BBL treatment in this location?
So we don't have the settings that he used, but let's make an assumption that he used the 515 filter, 6 or 7 joules, and 3 millisecond pulse duration, and 25 degrees centigrade with a large spot size, and did multiple passes after 2 treatments that he did. So look at the end result. It's skin that not only are the pigmented spots less, but the quality of the skin in this woman who's probably mid to late 50s, the quality of the skin that looks so much more like what a young person's skin is like. And I'll tell you, as a dermatologist and doing aesthetics for the last 30 plus years, that's what people want. They don't want skin that looks like it's been treated and with a different color. They want skin that looks like this, that looks like what young people's skin is. And I think that you can really appreciate that in this 2 treatment before and after result, we're getting, number one, a result that took maybe 3 to 5 treatments with traditional stamping. You have a really, really even result, and you've got this textural improvement because of the many the passes that you do and the many pulses that you do that you didn't get from traditional stamping technique.
I think we have some other chests that we can look at here. We can see really nice improvement both in the dyspigmentation, the dyschromia, but also smoothness that Dr. Bitter referred to. So Dr. Rob, you were mentioning pigment, and I do believe that the Hero is far superior to any of the other BBL sort of protocols of treatment using the Hero mode for pigment. But what about smoothness? What about texture?
I remember it was in Dallas about 10 years ago, Patrick, and I was new at speaking. And I remember trying to describe the changes from BBL, and I was saying, it's lighter, it's brighter, it's, I didn't know the words. And Patrick comes up to me afterwards and he says, Chris, it's called the light reflex. It's like, you know what? I get it. Like, there's something about the quality, texture, and youthfulness of the skin that makes it shine and have that youthfulness. And that's what happens here more in my experience with Hero than it does with stamping, with traditional BBL.
It's interesting because when I was in plastic surgery, I remember when we first came out with resurfacing and whatever it was, is that the surgeons are slow to come around, to be honest with you, and they're friends, but they're just very skeptical, and so they were busting up my chops and was saying, these aren't really the results that you're seeing. You've got different lights, and it's different lighting, and it's the different light reflex. And I really didn't know at the time that they were absolutely, it wasn't different lights, but it was that light reflex. So when you talk about halo glow, it's a BBL glow, it's whatever it is. It's when you put the new collagen in the skin and it looks more youthful and you get this light reflex. And so I wish I'd have known that 15 years ago when I was getting my rear handed to me by my colleagues.
You should have talked to Patrick.
Yeah. I talked to Patrick a lot.
Yeah, we all talked to Patrick.
So, I guess I have a question. I hear a lot here, you guys are saying, we're achieving results in 2 treatments that you might have taken more with standard BBL. Yeah. In my opinion, you're getting results that you could never achieve with standard BBL. I don't think 20 standard BBLs could get you this kind of result.
And there's some technology differences, the pulse width, which, there's some science stuff. So the pulse width, the energies in relation to the pulse width, which is different than the energy. Like, you look at the energy setting for Hero and you think, oh, it's less than, more than, whatever. But the pulse width is the main key factor here, in my opinion. And I don't know how you guys feel, but and that pulse width is what's making a huge difference in the reaction of the skin. In
So
Hero,
can you tell us about the pulse width difference between standard
in this case,
and Hero?
Melanin and melanosomes react to shorter pulse widths than we typically use in stamping BBL, and so when you're getting down to the 3 millisecond range, you're dealing with disrupting melanosomes. You would never pigment deposits that you would never disrupt with stamping technique, or you would take very high fluences, which is why we're talking about, when I'm stamping, I'm doing 15 or 20, maybe not 20, but 15 millijoules. And then when you're dealing with Hero, you're down to 3. And the reason that's effective, or 5 or whatever, the reason that's effective is because the pulse width, the time in which the energy is being delivered, is so rapid that the pigment cannot cool fast enough before it's heated, which is called thermal relaxation time, right? And if you can heat that before it can cool, faster than it can cool, then you would destroy it. And with Hero, the increased power of Hero and the pulse width, et cetera, are such that you're hitting even tiny little difficult areas of pigment that you wouldn't normally hit with stamping.
So we're using energies in that
I hope I did that justice. Patrick
5
can
to
correct me.
6 joule range instead of 10 to 15 or 20. It's much lower, but you're delivering it in such a shorter amount of time, 3 milliseconds instead of 15 to 20 milliseconds.
But it's also more than that. Like the picture there with regard to the texture improvement, it's exactly what, it's another example of what Patrick was just talking about. That's what people's skin want to look like. And it's really the rapidity and the number of pulses that you could put so much more in there, and you're going so fast that you're getting back over it, and over time, that skin heats up. And what we've always tried to do with any technology is get that skin to a certain temperature, and we're doing that now with Hero safely, which we couldn't. And I think I showed you in my presentation, I was expecting the pigment to some degree, maybe not quite as good as we're getting, but I was not expecting the texture changes. That was a huge thing for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
look at the difference in the definition from the deltoid to the pectoralis.
So both of you showcase really where we are today with Saiton's innovation with BBL Hero, and that is shortening the pulse duration. You pick up subtle pigment like lighter freckles better. You get a higher peak temperature when you have a shorter pulse duration with the same fluence. When you get a higher peak temperature, it creates more thermal effect on the skin. And then when you do more passes and more pulses, you get this increased stimulation of collagen, resulting in not just clearer skin, but clearer and smoother skin. And when you look at young people's skin, what's the hallmark of young people's skin? It's clear and it's smooth. So all day long, BBL Hero, you make skin clearer and smoother. You make older looking skin look like younger people's skin. And that's the beauty of this technology. And you do that non-invasively, anywhere in the body.
And I always tell people, we're not putting anything in you, right? We're using the properties of light to physically rejuvenate the quality of your skin. And people like that. They like that we're not using chemicals, we're not using external products. But this BBL Hero was designed to be faster, was designed to be for treatments off the face. This was an unforeseen result, and it's really blown all of us away. It's blowing the market away because not only are you doing it quicker, you're doing it more comfortably for the patient because you're treating them at 5 joules instead of 15. There's no numbing there. It's extremely comfortable, right? You can comment on how it's faster. I mean, it's almost too good to be true. Everything is better, including the results. And so, again, I want to say that this is something that no number of traditional stamping BBLs, I could never achieve these results with stamping.
And it's faster. It's faster.
And it's much faster. So for us, it's really revolutionized
But,
treatment.
you still need, not to take away, but, acne, hair,
Of course.
stamping, spot treatments, telangiectasias, spider angiomas, all these, angiofibromas, all these little things, you still need to be able to stamp.
100%. So this is adding to your BBL capabilities. It is not replacing your traditional BBL. It's another button that you can push on the software, and all the other buttons are the same. And so you can use all the different steps, whether you want to do reds, or you want to do cherry angiomas, or you want to do a skin tight, or the forever young types of protocol. So, look at this fantastic result, right? Where Jason practices in South Florida, where we see a lot of very heavy sun damage. This is one treatment. Would anyone have ever thought that one single BBL could do have results like this?
And in each of the panelists' experience, had you ever, on that previous slide, had you ever known any other technology or any other laser or any other method of treatment that ever get that result?
In 90 seconds, or maybe 2 minutes.
So I will say this, though, just as a precautionary statement, and probably you guys back me up. You see that tattoo? You see how it's still slightly darker next to that tattoo in the after picture? And the reason for this is pulse width is so narrow that you really want to avoid tattoos. I just want to say that. But for the most part, look how brilliant a job Jason did, even with the tattoo in the picture.
So that's BBL Hero for you there.
So BBL Hero, here's a, Dr. Rob, you want to comment on
Yeah,
this
so I added
patient?
this last minute to surprise you.
They
So
work.
this is on the top. To me, it looks like a post-treatment picture. It looks peppered, but it's not. This is actually a pre-treatment picture. And I put this in the hands of someone who is fairly new at BBL. But this is the reason I put it in is because it's a single treatment, one treatment. And to me, in the old days with stamping, this is a 2 sessions, maybe 3. And so it's just such a dramatic result for a single treatment that I was excited to share it with everybody.
And for me personally, it would be about 300 to 400 pulses with the 515 filter just for that step. I know you like to do multiple steps. What would you? For our chest?
That's pretty typical for what I do for step 1 with the 515 filter. At 6 joules, maybe if you want to be a little more aggressive, 7 joules. And 300, typically I do 315 to 360 pulses for that step. If they've got redness, I'll do a step for red after that. And then if they've got a certain amount of lines or so, I'll do the setting that with the 640 filter or the 590 filter for texture. So that'll take me about 6 to 7 minutes, but it's so worth it because there's no other treatment on earth that will get that same kind of result that easily for patients
And how long,
with essentially no downtime.
How long before you were doing Hero would it take you to get that?
To get that result.
To do stamping and go through it?
Really good technique, 200 plus pulses for this first step. Second step, targeting pigmented spots. That would be 5 treatments.
Yeah.
This is 1.
Right.
Yeah, so this we only dreamt about years ago.
I mean,
to get
it's
this
amazing.
kind of result in one
It's
treatment.
amazing. If you don't have it, you have to get this.
Yeah, you really do. So
No, for real. Like it has changed my practice.
It has completely revolutionized our practice. Dr. Posner, who's not here, he always likes to point out that this is before and after of an arm, and that the after picture, the arm is more flexed, so you would expect to see more wrinkles, but you actually see less. And I think that sort of unsung result that happened with BBL Hero is smoothening of the skin.
That's either 2
Tightening of
arms
the skin.
or the worst legs I've ever seen.
Nah.
Hey,
By the way, that particular last patient, I believe that was, he used a variety of different settings, and I think that was about 5 treatments. So what it does showcase you is you get this dramatic result for many people with a lot of sun damage and a lot of dyschromia or uneven pigment in your first treatment. But additional treatments with BBL Hero with the same technique, you get progressively more smoothing and more tightening of skin. So there's still, there's a value to doing multiple treatments for patients.
But smoothening and tightening were never words that I used in conjunction with BBL.
Only
So
in long
BBL
term,
Hero.
like Forever Young,
Yeah.
of course, smoothing and tightening over many treatments.
Yes, so that one picture that Jason, this picture right here is a picture, I show patients getting arms or legs or whatever, but I also show it on patients that I'm going after the neck because I said, this is a surprise. This picture was, I remember seeing this first time in our advisory board meeting and freaked out that this could happen with a BBL Hero. And for me, if I've been treating people's faces my whole career and getting all the wrinkles gone and whatever, and it's a privileged sight. But when you go down to the neck, that's a different ballgame, and that's hard because, and then there's a mismatch. So I've played with it, and I did Fraxel, and I'd get little areas of hypopigmentation and maybe even little micro areas of scarring, no matter how little I treated with ablative technology. And so now this is my go-to number of patients, adding the tightening that you're talking about, Patrick, and I start there. It's a hierarchy because the neck is unforgiving. So the BBL Hero, which I would never have thought, is one of my first go-tos, and if I can get some of that tightening with just the BBL Hero, I can do it safely for the first time. Then if you want to add Moxie, I add that too, usually, but we've now got some techniques where I can personally, with my resurfacing patients, go back and say, okay, now you can wear that V-shaped dress if you'll just come back and let me get the BBL Hero and the Moxie out, and we'll go to town, and that's something I never anticipated.
Would you guys comment, just out of curiosity for me, on poikiloderma? which is, of course, brown and red and hypopigmentation on the neck, sparing underneath the chin. You guys have all seen it. I've always found that difficult to treat with BBL without several treatments. Sometimes certain halo settings that are kind of aggressive. But have you guys, with this short pulse width, have you guys experienced any results with poikiloderma? Because in my hands, with Hero and poikiloderma, it's like perfect.
Is what?
Perfect. It's beautiful results with poikiloderma. Yeah.
With BBL.
With Hero. With Hero.
With Hero.
Yeah.
So if the poikiloderma, and this question came up earlier today at our lunchtime with a Q&A, if the poikiloderma is primarily pigment, and again, a simple test to know, you do this. And if it looks the same when your thumb is moving like that, it's mostly pigment. If it looks much lighter and it looks more like normal skin, it's mostly vascular, mostly red. So, BBL
It's
Hero,
the
if
bitter
it's
thumb
mostly,
test.
pardon?
The bitter thumb test.
So, the thumb test. So, if it's a pretty simple way to check. If it's mostly pigment, the settings, the typical settings we use with BBL Hero, 200, let's say 150 pulses with the 515 filter, clears a lot of that pigment up. If it's mostly vascular, the vascular will be left behind. So we'll still do that first step with BBL Hero because there's usually always some degree of pigment, and then we'll do the traditional stamping technique with BBL. And then most necks that I'm seeing are old necks, older looking necks, and crepiness and sagginess and laxity are the other things that bother the patient, not just the red or the uneven pigment. And so I'll do that final step, the tightening step, with typically now 300, sometimes 400 pulses per half neck. So it'll be 600 to 800 additional pulses. It'll take you about 10 minutes to do, but when you can make an old neck look so much younger, you've got really happy patients.
Yeah, and you see how with the treatment protocols that we're talking about, it's now for all of us, I think, revolving around pulse count, whereas before it might have been number of passes, or maybe you just did one pass, but really for me, that pulse count has become the endpoint for BBL Hero treatments, and it's always in the high hundreds. Let's just move on because we do want to keep going, but here's a really nice arm treated with BBL Hero. This is an employee of Saitan here, one treatment, backs of the hands. I think you're going to address a lot of these in your talk.
I've got, I think I've each of these tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'll go over the settings with everybody tomorrow.
So, again, BBL Hero was first designed to be for off-phase treatments. And of course, what's the first thing that we're all going to do once we get it is to start treating the face. And really, if someone is coming in for a sort of BBL-only type treatment, I'm not going to do a deep halo after we do the BBL Hero, and we're now delivering that 600, 800, 1,000 pulses, and you're seeing the same types of changes, pigmentary improvement, smoothening, tightening, and then you can still come in with a stamping technique afterwards with, say, one of the 11 millimeter circle and give additional treatments to the stubborn browns, or use your square adapter 15 by 15 and do some of the reds with your standard, maybe rosacea protocol. But this is just a single treatment. I showed this earlier, but really treating up onto the scalp for this gentleman. You're seeing improvements in the browns, in the reds, and just that light reflex that just we never saw with standard BBL treatments alone.
How do you partition in this gentleman, for example? Where's your cutout? Like, how do you treat areas? Like, you can treat the scalp, then the forehead, then the temple. Like, walk us through, for my benefit, how you're treating the different areas.
For me, for a standard face, we don't usually do a ton of scalps. Let's say for the face of a woman, I will use the full-size crystal 15 by 45 and do about 50 pulses with the 515 filter on each side. Just kind of getting that bulk first pass, it's maybe about 5 passes to get 50 pulses. And then I put the 15 by 15 millimeter square and do about 150 pulses on each cheek, left, right, diagonal, and then I do a circular motion that I learned from Dr. Bitter around the mouth, maybe 200 or 300 pulses. And then I tend to turn it down from 7 to maybe 6 for the forehead. And I do each half of the forehead, maybe 200 pulses. And then if there are reds, the BBL Hero, I think you still have to do a traditional stamping technique to get reds afterwards. But I mean, these results kind of speak for themselves. So I guess we'll wrap up the hero portion of the discussion. And I know that the answer for me here is unquestionably we're achieving results that were unobtainable by any number of traditional BBL treatments.
Every time we do this panel, I always get uncomfortable, right? Because this is scientific. We're trying to make it is, like I say, it's a rah-rah, and we all are Sciton fans. But I just want to make sure you know that I mean, these are scientifically proven. There are articles to support it. But what you've seen today, I've done this for 30 years, and you know, you remember the days we'd get a new technology and we would struggle. We'd all use the one good patient, you know, and pass it around in terms of the before and afters. And you've got Jenny Holman, you've got Jeremy Camp, you've got others that have shown, you know, incredible pictures, you know, in their first few months. And so I'm here because I've tried to be for the colleagues, as I said, you know, Sciton may come and go. The other companies may come and grow, but I'm going to see you at meetings, and I want to make sure that you're not buying something that's sitting in the corner as a paperweight or a coat rack. And the fact is, we're so enthusiastic about it is because it's changed our practice. And if you buy one, I don't feel any guilt about it because you're going to freaking love it. And so it does seem like we're all in the Sciton family, but it's because we use it every day, and there is science behind it. I just want to make sure. It almost seems like we're selling it, which we are, but it's always makes me, I want to make sure I stop and say, you know, there is science behind this, and our practice, we've all just seen it, and I'm seeing shaking heads where all of you see the same thing.
I'll be honest with you, if there's no science, I get angry.
Yeah.
I just get upset.
Yeah.
And I have drank the Kool-Aid with some other products. You know what I mean? I just drank it. And I will not, just like Jay and Patrick, I'm sure, I will not tell you something that is not accurate, and this device has completely changed the way we're practicing.
One thing that's common between all of us, we might not agree on a lot of things, but we're just so passionate about getting our patients results. And I personally don't speak on behalf of any other laser company, but I mean, this has changed the way we approach our patients. This is a screen after I'm done with a face. Look at the count, 800 pulses. 800 pulses for a face. So, and you can do that in minutes. So this is a picture of my screen. A couple of facial improvements.
Is that yours? That one?
Yeah.
It's bitter?
So, and I'll cover these tomorrow.
Yeah, I want to
So
get through
go through the
so
parameters.
please. So let's talk about the other half of the M-Joule. All right, just when it would be worth it if you just get the M-Joule. You could get it just with the BBL/BBL Hero, or you can get it with both the BBL Hero and Moxie, which everyone should do. So the Moxie is a fractional resurfacing laser at 1927 nanometers, so it's a thulium laser. It has really revolutionized the way we approach resurfacing. It's a very simple treatment. It is not just Halo Junior, right? It's not just a smaller halo. It is actually a different wavelength that targets a different area in the skin. It's much easier to go through a treatment for both the provider as well as the patient. A full face is, we say, around 7 or 8 minutes. It has so many advantages. It's so quick. It's a point-of-care treatment, like I did mention in my talk earlier. When someone seems to be a good Moxie candidate and we've agreed to proceed with that we just do the treatment right at that time. Adding the second BBL has also really transformed the throughput of the practice. We used to have to wait till the BBL patient was done when they were treated with the BBL on the Jewel X platform. But now we have the Jewel X in one room and the M-Jewel in the other, and I can just bounce back and forth between the two BBL devices. So it's also now opened up resurfacing for so many more patients. So really, we treat patients as young as 19 or 20. It's very easily tolerated. You can treat in hair-bearing areas. I love the word polish. It provides a polishing for the surface of the skin. It's great for summer months. It's great for in-between more corrective procedures. It's great for all skin types. It is not for patients who have deep corrective needs. It is really a polishing of the skin. We talked about where it sits there, really in a unique position on the water absorption spectrum.
And the price point.
Please.
The price point.
And the price point, lower for you for the practice, lower for the patient. And so again, with something like melasma, which we'll talk about why this BBL Hero Moxie combination is perfectly suited for melasma, melasma is going to come back, and now so will the patient, because you're going to be able to treat them once a month, once every 2 months, once every 3 months, whatever they need.
You can finally not take any of your time so that the price point makes sense. And it's a price point at which the laser makes sense and the demographic is willing to pay the price point that makes sense. It's like a magic combination. And so in our practice, this little lunchtime treatment has recruited so many people we never would have seen before.
What does the Moxie patient always say when they come back?
When can I schedule my next one?
Exactly.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
can I do another?
Yeah, or can you treat my friend? They send all their friends.
And so at lower energies, level 1, we say, so you can do what's called a quick start, level 1, 2, or 3. And as level 1 is that 5 to 10 millijoule range at 5 to 10% density. You could look at the histology. As you start going up in level to the higher energies and densities, you do get some superficial resurfacing and a little bit more swelling in men's. Whereas at level 1, someone could put makeup on and go out to dinner that evening. I don't know about you guys, but we essentially always do a level 3 just because it's so simple, it's so easy, it takes the same amount of time, and we want to get patients' results. But here's a level 1 healing diary. It doesn't look like much because there's really not too much in the way of swelling, but the glow that you can't really capture in the healing diary is something that's really evident when the patient comes in. And you can see improved quality, textural pigmentation when doing Moxie alone. It's very rare in my practice that I do a Moxie without doing a BBL Hero first. It tends to be when someone wants to keep their pigment. So I say if someone has freckles that they don't want to get rid of, or a very type 5 or type 6 Fitzpatrick skin type. Here we go from Dr. Shah. She's in the DC area, single treatment at 10 and 10, so that would be a level 2, 10 millijoules, 10% coverage, and then level 2 here as well. This is one of Dr. Posner's here. These are all Moxie alone, so Fitzpatrick type 5 to 6 here before and after one treatment.
It looks like you overtreated her eyes.
Overtreated her eyes.
Yeah.
And you can see improved smoothness, texture, quality of the skin. This to me is like the perfect Moxie patient, right? Do you want to talk about this, Dr. Britter?
You commonly see patients like this who have this blotchy discoloration. Do the thumb test on their cheek and you'll see that there's a certain amount of vascular. And typically their history is acne breakouts and picking at their face. And maybe now they don't pick anymore, but where they picked, healed with these white scars. So now they've got this contrast that's there. I like doing a combination of BBL and Moxie on these patients because I think that combination gets really the much more dramatic and much more satisfying result for a patient than just BBL by itself or Moxie by itself.
That lady's name, that's Janice. So Janice she's one of mine. She's well known to my clinic, Miss Janice. And she would never let us treat her with a laser.
This patient?
No, this one. Yeah, this one here. And she would never let us treat her. And she had gone to all these other offices, and she was, drinking the Kool-Aid from the other offices, this and that. And she comes in finally, talking to a Moxie, because of the low energy that's put in the skin is very safe. And we did this treatment, and she became our greatest Google, whatever, follower. She's like posting everywhere about our office for this result.
So I know Dr. Burns.
I should pay her.
I asked you at a prior session, I said, why did you treat this patient with Moxie? And you said, this is a patient you wanted to treat with Halo. With Halo initially.
No, actually, she said, "What can I do?" And I don't want to have any downtime. And so we were talking about, resurfacing, then Halo, and she says, no, and we talked about the downtime. And so she really talked us into doing a Moxie, and I downplayed it as much as I can. Now, historically, when Fraxel came out, when Halo comes out, the patients with a lot of pigment and a lot of sun damage typically do the best, but this is still crazy for one Moxie on a patient like that. There's a lot of people that would say that looks like a mild resurfacing result with a contour. And so like I say, I wouldn't I'm not going to show this to any of my patients saying that you can get that kind of a result with one Moxie, but I just, when my girls came out and showed me this picture of what they'd done, and I didn't do this, my esthetician did it, I just was amazed, and you still can get a little bit of that light reflect, like, it's a little bit lighter in the reflection. Now, she's be better with more treatments, but I just, again, it's a shocker to me. I'm like you. I thought the M-Jewel coming out, I was all about the Hero. The Moxie didn't make any sense. I'd already had a 1927 in my past, but this is different, and it's really a great.
And I don't know how you guys feel about where the capillary bed is in rosacea, but I don't think it's at 400 microns. I think it's at 200 micron. I think it's very shallow. And when you see these rosacea patients and they respond so well to Moxie, it's kind of surprising to all of us, I think, because you expect it from Halo, kind of because you get a little deeper. But sometimes there's these flushing patients that respond so well to Moxie, I'm always surprised by it. And then I was going to say, I guarantee you, 10 years ago, Jay would have said, okay, BBL that face, and then resurface it. Yeah. Because, I learned, Jay's one of my mentors. I got 3 mentors, Jason Posner, Jay Burns, Patrick Bitter, right? Big mentors. And in my life, they've changed the way I look at medicine. And that patient, I suspect, you would have BBL'd and resurfaced. And here we are with something as simple as Moxie.
Yeah. And again, you're hitting that spot that Halo can't get to, right? So the Halo 2940 is going to max out at 100, but then the 1470 is going to start at 200. You're missing that 1 to 200 micron depth, and this is exactly where the Moxie hits. So that's why the results that we're seeing, we're not seeing with any of the other modalities. Of course, I'm a huge fan of combination treatments, and the M-Jewel combination of the BBL Hero and Moxie, again, you're targeting the spots. You want to get the spots, you want to improve the pigmentation, the dyschromia, and you want to polish the skin as well. So this is a great example of getting the brown so that the patient is really maximally happy. Dr. Burns, do you want to comment on this patient?
Yeah, again, I think we did the combination of the BBL Moxie, and as I saw it, we got most of the thing except those 3 areas on the left. And so after Patrick treated me in Houston, and I had a couple of I have 2 or 3. Well, I had several, more than I'd like to tell you, of these pigmented AKs, and he picked that up and then showed me the treatment that he talked about. He may talk about it tomorrow. He mentioned it at lunch today. But the 25 passes, so you're really converting a Moxie to a full thickness injury with the Moxie. It's just a full thickness injury. And you could come in with a contour and do a full thickness injury. But using the Moxie, to me, really dense for 4 days, and then it peels off. So we actually came back and did the 25 pass Moxie on those brown spots and got rid of those. But even with just, after one treatment, it's a pretty crazy combination to get to that point with BBL and a Moxie. So we usually, it's rare that we don't combine our treatments, really.
This is one of my patients that I showed earlier, so you can, this is the skin that we want for all of our patients. The BBL alone would do a nice job with the pigmentation, and it would give you some smoothening, some improvement in texture, but it wouldn't give you that glow. It wouldn't give you that light reflex, the luminosity, the radiance that you're seeing when combining it with the Moxie polishing. Go through, you do see some improvements with the texture. I showed this picture earlier, but look at the side by side. The BBL, we had done BBL alone for her. You should say maybe she's a type 4, Fitzpatrick type 4, but it was the addition of the BBL with the Moxie that got to that deeper pigment. And in our hands, it's a pigment treatment combining the BBL and Moxie. And this is one treatment. 3 treatments that we see here. Another similar type of patient.
And skin texture.
And texture. So maybe someone can comment on how the addition of the M-Jewel platform has changed the business side of things, the ROI, the throughput of patients in the practice, the flow from consultation to treatment and so forth. Chris?
So in our practice, we've developed a demographic that didn't exist, and it's basically young people who have the money to pay for Moxie and not the money to pay for Halo. But not only that, but they don't have the damage that Halo, that would require a Halo treatment anyways. And so they're coming in and coming in for Botox, and they're looking at the posters and they're thinking, what can I do here? And we show them that they can be polished up, and you can polish them up with BBL. And if you do that with Hero or regular BBL, then they're going to have some co-stimulatory effects that result in rejuvenation, which you can look at Patrick's Forever Young studies to look at what's happening genetically. That's an easy sale, by the way, to show them that, because they want to see science. Believe it or not, millennials want to see science. I'm sorry for using the word. And then, but on top of that, they're getting polished, and they're doing it in a very quick time. We use a Zimmer. I don't even numb. I know many offices do numb with topical. We don't. We do a Zimmer. They walk out the door. It's like that, right? And for the most part, it's their first experience. And then here's the thing. My 60-year-old patients do not spread news the way my 25-year-old patients spread news. And so as a result, we're just getting flooded with 25 to 35-year-olds. And kind of they tell their moms and grandmas, and next thing you know, we start having some other population as well. So.
And unlike a Halo, it took me longer to line up these pictures than to do the treatment. I mean, it's very
for real.
quick.
For real. It's an 8-minute treatment.
Yeah, it took me forever to get that perfectly lined up.
And in Tennessee, we let our MAs and LPNs and RNs do the treatment. I don't even walk in the room. Level 2, go.
Other comments about?
Well, I just mentioned again. I don't know that. Well, in my talk this morning on this on my concept of skin to life, I just think that when I was putting this talk together, always trying to make it a little bit new, it just hit me that, in a way that, just the MGL platform has expanded the patients that I treat. I now go into the 25 to 40, which I never did before. And the BBL Hero will do the same thing. You can get and maintain that treatment that Patrick's talked about in his DNA studies, and it's also expanded I said I'm not afraid to treat people of color anymore, or melasma, which I just kind of tried to avoid that altogether because I just didn't want to hurt anybody, and I can confidently go in and do that with the post-cooling and the steroid regimen. I think that's a really important point, but this device alone has expanded a huge population that I've never treated before as well.
And the safety profile, which we'll get into tomorrow. Patrick, do you do your BBL talk tomorrow, or BBL or
Yes.
Hero?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And so after that, I think maybe after that I'm speaking as well. I don't remember. But we're going to go into kind of the nitty-gritty about Moxie versus Halo and where they're both beneficial. But the energy levels for Moxie are so safe for every skin type and for melasma. Like, it's a no-brainer. No-brainer.
And you don't feel awful like you do after a Halo, and you get rid of their pigment, and then it comes right back.
And it's not bad. So you do a BBL, and you add Moxie to it. You're not remember BBL Halo, fantastic treatment, especially for moderate rhytids and sun damage. And maybe for people who need a little bit less than erbium, but a little bit more than Moxie, it's in that spot. But when you do BBL Halo, it was always, it's pretty. There's a lot of heat happening. You do BBL Moxie, and Moxie's adding so little heat. You can do BBL Moxie all day long, and they have almost no increased downtime.
And all year long, too.
Okay, all I would add really is that with the introduction of the Millijule or the MJule platform from Saiton, if you're in the business of skin and you do a med spa, or you're a dermatologist or plastic surgeon and you're addressing skin, in my opinion, the single most valuable tool that you could introduce and have is the MJule, with the combination of BBL and BBL Skin Tight. So BBL Hero, BBL Skin Tight, and the Moxie. And it allows you to be able to do almost everything to address skin on the face and anywhere on the body This, in my opinion, is if you're opening up another location, if you're thinking about introducing any treatment for skin, the single most valuable tool on the planet, I think, is Saiton's M Jewel.
I want to know why this lady is smiling less after, because she looks amazing.
She
I'm
wants
like,
to
why are
know-
you smiling less? What is your problem?
Because she was mad that I wouldn't do the second treatment that day.
I mean, look at her.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
She
And,
looks so good.
this group here can talk about this all day, and I think we need to get to the results. But one treatment with the BBL Hero on Moxie.
Yeah.
Again, someone that I said, you should do Halo, but she just didn't want it. She just said, no, I don't want to pay that. I don't want to be puffy for 5 days. This is just, exceeded any expectations that any of us
Festoons
could have
and
had.
nasalis.
So, adding that second platform, we heard Robbie talk about this earlier, it doesn't cannibalize what you have. It builds upon it in a way that continues to increase the success of your practice. So, any last comments from the panel?
Well,
I think you're amazing, number one.
Yeah, I think I have 3 lasers, Jewel 7, Jewel X, and M Jewel, and I've been open for a year. We got both of the Jewel X and the M Jewel this year, and my girls over the last month are saying, sorry, but we need another Moxie. We're using it all the time. And I said, never apologize. That is not a bad problem. I mean, I know we hate it. We don't hate it, but you're always adding lasers. But that is a tremendous problem when you've got these kind of lasers and you're using it so much you need another one. So it says a lot to me.
And also, just to say, it works off a regular 120 volt plug. Like, that is such a huge deal. I used to get so frustrated having to put in 220 volt plugs for a new room. Yeah. It's like you just move it, you roll it, and plug it in. Yeah.
Robbie, we're not leaving.
Robbie, do we have time for a couple questions, or are we wrapping it up?
Here comes Robbie.
Robbie's ready to drink.
We're all in trouble.
Let's put an end to it.
We're going to the bar.
Woo, bar time.
Hey, round of applause.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Great job.
Robbie, you're so handsome.
Great job, everybody. Oh, yes. Okay, today was a good day, right? You guys have fun? You like this?